Hello friends, you're welcome to my channel. In today's video I'll be teaching us how to cut a female pant with pockets. So for beginners, the first thing you should know is that in cutting your knicker or your trousers, you divide your waist measurement by 4, your hip measurement by 4, then your laps measurement, the nail circumference and the end part of it, you also divide it by 2. So let's get started with our knicker. The first thing I'll be doing now is to mark my horizontal measurement. I will be marking this, will serve as my waistline. Now from my waistline I'll mark my crotch line. My crotch line is my hip divided by 4, and my hip is 38 divided by 4, which is 9.5 plus 1 inch allowance. So 9.5, I'll be marking 10.5 for my crotch line. I'll be marking 10.5 for my crotch line. Now so the next thing I'll be doing now is to mark my hip line. To get my hip line, this 9.5, which is my crotch line or crotch line measurement, I will divide it by 4. Whatever I get, I will now mark it as my hip line. So 9.5, you divide it by 4, you'll be getting like 2.4. So that 2.4 is what I'll be using for my hip line measurement. The length of the pant is 21. Then I'll add 2 inches for the folding. That's 23. I'll continue. 21, 23. So this is it. Now so this is it. The next thing I'll be doing now is to give this pant a nice curve. And for me to give this pant a nice curve, I'll come to this crotch line. Go in by half inch. I'll go in by half inch. Then come to this part and go in by 1.5 inch. So I will now connect it. I also come to the hip side, go in by half or 1 inch as you desire. So just to give it a curve. I will now put in my measurement. So for my waist measurement is 34. 34 divided by 4 is 8.5. So 8.5, I'll be adding 1 inch sewing allowance. For this knicker, I will not be adding any dart to the front. If not, I will also add 1 inch for the dart. But because I will not be adding dart, my waist measurement is 8.5. 8.5, I will now add 1 inch sewing allowance, which is 9.5. Now to the hip measurement is 38 divided by 4, that is 9.5. I'll also add 1 inch, making it 10.5. 10.5. Now coming to the crotch, I will mark my laps measurement on the crotch line here. My laps measurement is 25. I will divide it by 2, is 12.5. So 12.5 plus 1 inch allowance is 13.5. So 13.5. This is it. So my round nail circumference is 18. 18 divided by 2 is 9 plus 1 inch is 10. So I will now trace the line. I will now connect the lines together. From here I'll just give it a curve, a slant, so that I'll be able to fold it. Remember, this is the hemline measurement. So this is it for the front part of this knicker. I'll go ahead to cut it out. Hope you understand. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your comments, your questions. I'm always there to answer your questions. So this is the front part of this knicker. I'm going to cut it out now. As you can see, our front part is already cut out, well cut out. Now for the back side, on this crotch line, this 2.4 inches that I got here, I'll also add it on the crotch line. So I'll mark 2.4 here, and you remember how we got this 2.4, the hip measurement divided by 4, we got 9.5. Then 9.5 also divided by 4. This is how we got our hip line. We also mark whatever we got here. What we got here is what I'm trying to mark here, which is 2.4. Now the next thing is I'll go down here. This front part, I'll go down by 1 inch. I'll still cut it out. I'll trace it down like this. I'll still cut it out. So now, if you remember, we added our 1 inch sewing allowance to this dress. I don't need to add any other allowance to this back side apart from the one I'll be adding here and here. I will not add any other allowance. So I'm going to cut it the same way. And here, that 1 inch I removed here, I'll add 1 inch here. Then here I'll add 2 inches up for the back. I'll add that 1 inch, then 2 inches up. So I'll mark 2 inches here. Then I'll also mark 2 inches here. I'm adding these 2 inches because I want the back to have elastic. I'll put elastic to the back. That's why I'm adding this 2 inches here. So I'll come here, mark ½ inch, then connect it to this place. I'll mark ½ inch, connect it. Then from here, this is how the back will look like. This is what it will look like. Now I'll also trace this. I'll also connect this way. Then I'll trace from here. I'll connect it to this ½ inch that I marked here. So this is it for the back measurement. So I'm going to cut it out now. So this is it. Now I'll go ahead now and add pockets, our front pocket. So to add the pockets, from here I'll measure my hip measurement, which is 8.5, and this is the 1 inch for the sewing. So this 8.5, I'll go in by 1 inch, that is 7.5. I'll go in by 1 inch, then come out here. I'll go down by 7 inches. Then I'll give it a curve. because it's a female trousers or a female pant. If it's a male pant, I'll just slant it this way, but because it's a female pant, I will give it a nice curve so that it will look feminine. So this is it. I'll be cutting it out now. So for the pockets, I usually mark 14 by 14 inches for adult pockets. For children's pockets, you can make it 10 by 10, but for adults, I do 14 by 14 inches. See? That's it. So okay, this is it. So for me to sew this pocket now, the first thing I'll be doing is the next thing I'll be doing now is I'll place it front by front like this. So then I will sew here. After sewing it, I will now fold it inside. So after sewing this place now, like I told you, you place it front to front, then you sew here. After sewing it, then the next thing you do is to fold it inside. Remember, I will go ahead and match this place, but it's optional. If you don't want, you can use iron and press it down, but for me, I like to match it. Then after that, the next thing I'll be doing is to fold it like this, then do it this way. Take here, just fold it this way. So this is what it will look like. This is what it will look like. I'll match this place. I'll match this place, then match this place. I'll match this side, match this side, then turn it and sew here. I'll sew from here to here. So as you can see, I'm done with the pocket. So this is it. Our pockets. This is it. This is it. I matched here and I folded here, then matched it here also. This is it. So I will do the same thing to this one. After doing it, I will now sew it. I will now join this place. Then I'll sew. I'll also do the same thing here for the pockets before I will now join it here and continue the sewing. So this is it for today. Hope to see you in my next class. Please don't forget to subscribe, drop your comments, your questions. I'm always there to answer them all.